This week we highlight our final LPB Louisiana Young Hero. She'll be a college freshman this fall after overcoming a year of personal tragedy in which she continued to lift up her community and those around her. Hannah Lewis heads to college at Louisiana Tech on an outstanding student merit-based scholarship after a senior year that tested every realm of the DeRidder native's life. The coronavirus pandemic already meant her first semester would take place virtually, with all instruction online. But she also endured the death of her mother and 2 hurricanes that damaged her home.
She's beautiful and lovely, and she's well-grounded, and she's active in her church, and she's got a strong faith, and she's been very strong for me this past year. Last year, I had a happy life. I had a family of 4, and we had this home and everything, and a hurricane came, and then my wife, her mother, suddenly and unexpectedly passed away, and then another hurricane came, and it was just the 3 of us. And I took that pretty hard, and she took it hard too, but she was very strong for me. She's been a big help for me this past year.
It seems helping and being involved is just part of her DNA, including academic, civic, and community activities.
After the storm, she helped with feed families with disaster relief programs and stuff like that, from handing out MREs to serving food and meals on the hot lunch line.
We did that. There was about a week time where I was doing several of those events, but it's like, to me, that's just kind of normal life stuff. Like all of the events and school clubs and functions I was part of when I was at Merryville, those were available. There weren't a whole lot of extracurricular programs at Merryville. I mean, there were, but there wasn't necessarily a gifted program or anything like that. And so this past week, I was part of a local children's play that they do every summer. And that was a lot of fun. I've only ever gotten to do it one other year, but I was a senior, so it was really awkward because all the other seniors have done it for like 6 years. And it was a lot of fun. A lot of my friends are part of it, and it was storybook themed. And I got to be Dorothy from Wizard of Oz, and I got to make my own dress.
I saw that.
It was a lot of fun. But I woke up yesterday and was like, whoa, I don't have to go to the theater today. It was like a whole, like my whole past week was just totally different.
She should have done it for 3 years, but it was canceled last year, so she did 2019 and this year, so.
She hasn't declared a major yet, but knows her ability to communicate her passions will be part of whatever she does.
I like history, I like science, I like, Dad was talking about how I'm a fantasy reader or whatever, but I think that's a misrepresentation. I like to study Tolkien's writings about what fairy tales are, what their philosophies was, the philosophy of him and his other colleagues, C.S. Lewis, how they thought, children should be approached, how they thought children should be addressed, written about, what this means, how this connects to sort of their apologetics or their faith. It's just very interesting things that they wrote about. And I like to study that a lot. I think it's really, really interesting. But that's sort of the only branch of literature that I like to take a super deep dive into. Everything else is just kind of goes over my head.
Yeah, but that clearly doesn't go over your head, and you have taken somewhat of a dive into it, so you can talk about it on a pretty deep level with pretty much anybody who's a scholar of it, it sounds like.
I think she would be a great teacher. She says she doesn't want to be a teacher. I think she'd be a great teacher at the university. She'd be a great teacher of young children. I've seen her teach in church and Sunday school classes and Bible schools and things, and I think she would be a great teacher.
I think storytelling is an incredibly powerful tool that we have, and I think it's one of the most important tools that we have. It's a sub-branch of how we communicate. Like, we communicate through speaking, through conversation, and through telling stories, and I think it's very, very powerful. So whatever I do with my life, with my career, I want to be telling people the stories of my friends, the stories of what they've gone through in their lives, the stories of how they've overcome things, the stories of what, cultures from thousands of years ago meant to us. I think it's such a powerful thing. I want to use my passions to put smiles on people's faces, whether I do that through telling stories, whether I do that through building things, whether I do that through volunteer work. I think that's something that's incredibly important, and I think a little goes a long way.
And congratulations to all of this year's Louisiana LPB Young Heroes.